what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So this video is basically the wrap up / lessons learned video from the hog hunting trip that I am on my way back from over in Texas. So you guys hopefully have already watched parts 1, 2, and 3 of the little video series. I wanted to try to upload all of these videos in quick succession, so that way, you know, you guys can kind of be following along, you know, almost as in real time as I could get it. The area that I was in East Texas, the cell service was not good. I've got Verizon, and I had, I think, two bars of cell service, and it was like the LTE version, you know, where basically pretty much you can send a text message, you can barely send photos, and that's about it. So it took me, I was able to upload part 1 on Friday, I think, but it took me 8 hours. It took me 8 hours to upload that video, and so after I saw just how long that was going to take, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to try to fool with part 2 and part 3 trying to get those uploaded. I'll just wait until I get back and try to upload part 2 on Sunday, which hopefully you guys watch that. Part 3 I'll probably upload on Monday, and then this wrap up / lessons learned video probably Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. So I'm just trying to, you know, get everything uploaded real quick for you guys, but that are following along. But had an extremely successful weekend, an extremely successful hunt overall. I was so pumped. Like, I mean, you know, and you guys know, if you go hunt, I mean, you know, if you hunt anything, right? I don't care if you hunt hogs or deer or elk or whatever. I don't care what you hunt, but you know, when you're going out and you're doing your best to be successful, and then it comes together and you're successful, it makes it that much better, right, of a hunt. Not just being out there, just being able to go and have the experience to hunt in Texas. That was awesome just by itself, right, as a standalone event. But to have success, that was even better. So I'm driving back now. I'm drinking some coffee. I left at 10 p.m., a little before 10 p.m. Saturday night to start driving back home. My plan was I was really hoping I could be home by 8 a.m. Central Time Sunday morning. I'm going to be a little bit behind that. I had to stop. So I drove through just that little bit of East Texas, got into Louisiana, drove through Louisiana, through Mississippi, and then made it to the Alabama line, and made it just a handful of miles inside the Alabama line to a place called Livingston. And by that point, I had reached a level of, it was getting a little dangerous as far as me, you know, trying to continue to drive. And so I just pulled over into a gas station, parked my vehicle for an hour, and just slept for an hour. Then got back on the road, just stopped and got gas in between Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Stopped and got gas and got a cup of coffee. So I'm good to go now for the rest of the way home. I ain't got much further to go, but that's one of the big takeaways, and one of the lessons learned, I guess, is when you're doing something like this, at least for me, right? I felt like I did a pretty good job of pacing myself throughout the weekend. It's a lot of driving in a short amount of time. It's like 10 hours and 15 minutes, 10 hours, 20 minutes from my house to where I was staying in Texas. And you got to be flexible in terms of how you break up that drive and how you plan to hunt and all of that, scheduling everything out, which I feel like I did a really good job of going down. I drove Thursday when I landed from my work trip. I loaded up, started driving, and I made it to Shreveport, Louisiana. So I drove 8 hours on Thursday, and I was able to stay in a hotel. I got a few hours of sleep. I got up, and it was like another 2-hour drive, to finish out and make it to Texas. And that was my plan, was to make it there by 5 a.m. Friday so I could start hunting. So that was one of the big takeaways for the weekend for me on doing something like this. I felt like I did a good job of not overdoing it in terms of trying to sit too long and try to squeeze every little second out of the hunting, out of the sits that I did. In the mornings I would hunt till let's see, Friday and Saturday morning. I think I hunted till maybe 9:30 maybe at the latest. It reaches a point where it just gets too hot, right? And stuff's they're not really moving after that. Once it starts to get pretty warm, everything's going to bed down and just kind of hang out. So I did a good job of not forcing it. And after I would have the morning sit, I'd run into town, the nearest town, get something to eat, go back to the house, and I'd immediately just lay down and get some rest in the middle of the day when it was the hottest part of the day. So I felt like I did a really good job managing that. Let's see, what else? Lessons learned is I need to invest in, looks like the Arken Zulus, I think. I think that's looking like a really good budget-friendly option to do some level of hunting at night. I need to invest in that, so I have my own setup. By the time you guys see this video, hopefully you'll have watched part 2, where I go over the setup that I was using. It wasn't mine, but it was the owner of the property. It was his son-in-law. He was the one that got me set up with the thermal situation, and it was the Sig Echo, I believe, Sig Echo 1, I think. So that was the thermal I was using, which worked pretty good. I really like it, but watching a lot of the videos on that Arken Zulus, that with an illuminator or something, that seems like it would be a really good option to hunt at night, with limited range and stuff like that. But I think that would be a pretty good option to at least explore for some future night hunting. So that's a big takeaway. I need to start looking at that. Really glad I took my Thermacell with me. I had some off bug spray as well to keep the mosquitoes off of me, but they were everywhere. So the Thermacell, that was huge, having that, running that nonstop while I was out there hunting. What else? I've got to come up with some type of seating arrangement or something, a stool or something, because I didn't have anything, didn't have a chair or anything, so I was standing a lot, and my back and my feet are killing me from doing that. So every time I was out hunting, I was standing the whole time, which when I had the four-wheeler, I was able to kind of sit on it, from time to time. But yeah, so that was a big oversight on my part. I just didn't even think. Thursday, when I was trying to pack everything up, I was rushing around trying to get everything loaded, and some of this stuff just kind of fell off the list, and I wasn't focused on getting a chair. So that, big time, I need some type of setup for that. got to take my Coyote call. I've got an electronic, like a Predator call, that I can set up with a remote. I've got that at the house, and again, it comes down to just, you know, better preparation for a trip like that. I was so focused on, you know, the ability to go shoot a hog that I knew that I would shoot a coyote if I saw one, but actively going out and trying to coyote hunt, yeah, I could have done that as well if I would have had that electronic call. So that's another lesson learned. Just more or less better preparation for that, because that's not something that I do all the time. I don't hunt at night. I mean, I can count on one hand. I can count on 2 or 3 fingers the amount of times I've hunted at night with a thermal. So it's not something that I do very often, if at all. And so it's outside the norm, right, for me and what I try to do in a hunting trip. So the planning, I have to just focus on that and make sure I'm executing basically maximizing my trip. And I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. But still, I mean, with that being said, what a successful trip, like in general. I mean, it was amazing, everything about it. So those are kind of some of the big takeaways. You know, that hunting hogs with something like an AR, you know, it probably would have been more advantageous to do something like that, right? The scenario where I killed the first pig that Friday morning, shot that pig at 15 yards. Well, there were a couple other pigs that were coming in behind it. So if I would have had an AR, you know, semi-auto setup, could have killed one more, maybe, in that sequence. Not saying that I would have, but I would have had a better opportunity, right? And me trying to run a bolt, especially when the gun was basically fixed in the bog tripod, you know, it's run the bolt and then try to get on that second pig. That just wouldn't happen. So, you know, AR setup probably would have been better, which I think I have a solution for that. So overall, really liked the Hill People gear. I was running the kit bag, the full size kit bag as a chest rig. That was a critical piece of equipment for the weekend, because I had my binos in there. I kept some extra rounds in there. I had my thermocell in there. Basically, I transported everything in my kit bag, and then once I got set up, like my thermocell, I would just have it sitting out, running, and that type of stuff. So yeah, that was really handy to have on me. So let's see, that was about it. I mean, that's really, those are the key takeaways. I mean, I would say, you know, if you ever get the opportunity where someone's like, hey, I've got some, you know, you start striking up a conversation with somebody and they're like, hey, yeah, I've got property over in so-and-so, and you know, yeah, we're having a problem with some hogs. And you're like, hey, I can come out there and hunt them for you if you want me to. Or if they extend an invitation to you because they know you like to hunt, make sure you're the guy that accepts the invitation and then shows up. So that's the big thing, because it's extremely difficult. I know everyone's busy all the time, and it's extremely difficult to plan stuff out for trips like this, right? Like this is a non-work related trip. It doesn't really benefit my family in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's more of just a selfish me thing. But I really wanted to go, and I tried to squeeze in the trip in a window of time that was basically the only window of time I had, and we were able to pull it off, and it worked. So, but yeah, if somebody extends that invitation, they're going to open that door, you know, within reason, do everything in your power to make it happen. I mean, it was so much fun. Like, I'm so glad I did. Now I'm extremely tired and I'm worn out. And as soon as I get home, I'm gonna try to sleep about 4 or 5 hours, because also tonight I've got to turn around and drive to Atlanta, Georgia, pick up my wife and my stepdaughter. They're coming back from a school trip, so I got to drive to Atlanta tonight. It's about a 3.5 hour, almost 4 hour drive from where I live. So I'll be doing another 8 hour round trip drive later on tonight. So I gotta get some sleep and I gotta get some yard work done. But yeah, just in general, if those opportunities present themselves, do everything in your power to make it happen. I mean, it's just, there's going to be a lot of times where you can't, right? You're like, hey, schedule, I just can't find time to make it happen. But man, when you can schedule it and the plan does come together, and then there's successful harvest on top of that, it just makes it that much better. So I've reached the point where I just ramble about stuff, and so I will catch you guys next time. I hope y'all enjoyed the hog hunting experience and trip. I didn't get to film the actual hunts like I wanted to. That's something else. That's probably another takeaway. I would like to figure out a better methodology or better system for filming hunts. Looking at stuff to mount on the scope, though, man, those things are just so expensive. They're definitely worth it. It would probably be a much better way to get hunting footage, but yeah, I need to come up with something different, come up with a better way to film those kind of hunts, right? For when I go deer hunting, especially when I go gun hunting, I'm not as worried about that. But in this particular case, yeah, I just didn't have a good way to film the hunts. So, all right, that's it. That's where we're gonna leave it. Hope you guys enjoyed my rambling. This has helped keep me awake along with the coffee, so it was much needed. But that's it. Let me know what you guys, if you've gone on a hunt like this, what are some of the things you picked up on? What are some of the lessons you learned? What are pieces of equipment that you would recommend? Like, oh, by the way, this one little thing, it really came in handy. You may want to look at putting it in your pack for the next time you go, right? I mean, I'd love to hear your guys' recommendations. So, catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.